Folks, one of the biggest storylines entering this NBA season was whether or not the second-year Frenchman could solidify himself as one of the game's brightest young stars. And so far, so good for our beautiful French boy who's just solidifying himself as one of the better young defenders in the league and just showing some very intriguing steps in the right direction offensively that can't help but make you excited. I'm, of course, talking about Victor Wembanyama. No! Bilal Coulibaly, who is having a very, very good start to his second season in the NBA. And if you're a Washington Wizards fan, you got to be feeling good. Look, there's a reason why Coulibaly was drafted 7th overall in what was widely considered one of the more stacked draft classes in a long time. Okay, he's 6'6", he has a 7'2" wingspan. He has all of the tools to be an elite defender in the NBA, and we saw that quite a bit in his rookie season. I mean, I saw him play some pretty great one-on-one defense against Luka Doncic, one of the more difficult things to do in the sport. I saw him at times play great one-on-one defense against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Again, one of the more difficult things to do in the sport. I saw him play great defense against LaMelo Ball, which, hey, when LaMelo Ball's clicking, I mean, he's shooting one-legged running fadeaway threes that go in. So also one of the more difficult covers in the sport. I even saw him D-up Pascal Siakam on tough Pascal Siakam drives. When he gets downhill, he's one of the more difficult players to stop in the entire association. So we know the defensive upside is there for Coulibaly, and we have seen it at times so far this season as well. I mean, he did such a great job on Trae Young in the 2 games the Wizards have played against the Hawks so far, and we'll touch on all of that here in a bit. But it was really the offensive upside. That was the big swing factor for Coulibaly, whether or not he could develop into somebody who could generate offense for himself, somebody who could consistently knock down three-point jump shots. That would separate him from just being this, really, really strong defender who can't really get going offensively. We've seen French players come into the league looking like that. And Frankie smokes, man. I still, by the way, I still believe to this day the Dallas Mavericks do not beat the Phoenix Suns if Frank Ntilikina is not on the team in that 2022 series. I still wholeheartedly believe that. But if some of the small, tiny glimpses we saw his rookie year, where he did struggle offensively, but every now and then he'd make a play where you'd be like, oh shit, is that something? If he could build and expand on any of that offensively, we'd be talking about a very, very good and talented NBA player. And so far this season, folks, he's clicking. Let's just compare some of his 2023, 2024 numbers to what we've seen so far through 4 games. Again, 4 games, such an incredibly small sample, but the process looks so good for Coulibaly so far that I think we have to take note of it. Last year, a little under 1 possession per game where he was the pick-and-roll ball handler. He averaged 0.6 points per possession in those reps. That's not a very good number. Again, small sample size, but so far this season, 3.5 possessions per game. So you can already see the volume uptick there, and 1 point per possession in those reps. I mean, that's good stuff. A little over 3 spot-up attempts per game last year, 1 point per possession on those looks. That's not a great number considering most of those shots are generally pretty clean looks and pretty open. This season so far, 5.3 spot-up attempts per game, 1.38 point per possession. That's more like it. He's shooting 42% from 3 so far on 4.8 attempts per game. That's nearly 2 more attempts per game than he shot last year. Again, we are at such a small sample size, and if that 3-point percentage was lower, his volume would be lower. I keep saying that to people about Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is shooting 15 threes a game. Well, he's also over 40% right now. He's feeling it from 3. So he's going to let those things fly. Let's wait and see what it looks like when those percentages go down. But perhaps the most encouraging number for me so far for Coulibaly is 3.7 drives per game last year, 41% on those drives. That's not a good number, right? Looked out of control at times. Looked like a young player who was very raw offensively that we were waiting to see him develop. So far this season, 8 drives per game, doubling that number from a year ago, 50% on those drives. He looks more in control. His dribble moves look like they have a purpose. It looks like he knows where he's going on the floor. Looks like he knows where he wants to be, what spot he wants to get to. He's shown good patience on these drives as well. Those are the things you really want to see, and they're really the signs of somebody who's taking a pretty sizable step forward. Here he grabs a rebound, takes the ball the full length of the floor, and again, it's being surgical, knowing where he wants to be. Nice hesitation dribble, attacks Jaylen Brown's hip, scoop layup, easy bucket. Ty Jerome's feet all over the place on this closeout. Bilal easily drives. And look at the patience, right? Doesn't want to attack Jared Allen, so he just dribbles around Jared Allen, gets to the paint, and gets to his spot. Easy finish. Knocking down some threes means people are going to close out on you a little bit hard. Attacks a Cornet closeout, gets to the rim, gets fouled. Attacking a poor defender here in Trae Young, you know you have the size advantage, you know you have the length advantage, use that to your strength. Foul, going to the free throw line. And hype. Gonna get downhill right here off of this SAR screen. Again, Trae Young, not a great defender. Force the issue. Attack him. Draw a foul. And one. Yeah! I'm hype! And we mentioned more volume as the pick-and-roll ball handler so far this season. Here he gets downhill. Beautiful fake. Nice floater. Good work. Again, it's the comfortability that's become pretty apparent here for Bilal Coulibaly. He just looks much more comfortable year 2, getting downhill, getting into the paint, and knowing what he's doing when he gets into the paint. Those are the signs that you're looking for year to year for a young player. Even on misses, there's stuff that you can take away here. Going at Al Horford, nice dribble pickup, gets to a spot. That's a nice looking floater. It's just going to drop, and I think as he continues to progress as a player, those floaters will drop. That's a look that you feel very comfortable with. And it's not just scoring where Coulibaly looks much more comfortable going to year 2. It's also as a playmaker. Again, getting downhill, forcing the issue, sucking the defense in, and a beautiful little drop-off to Jonas Valanciunas. Another nice find here. Usually people will say jump passes is bad, but if you know where you're going, there's nothing wrong with a little jump pass. Picks up his dribble at half court. Knows Valanciunas is under the rim. Nice pass. Again, more reps as a pick and roll ball handler. I like this shot a lot right here for him. Mid-range pull-up jumper. He gets a lot of elevation on that jump shot. Again, he's a big, lengthy dude. That's going to be a tough shot to contest if you can start knocking it down with irregularity. That's an interesting shot in his arsenal. And even if the self-creation stuff doesn't really get there, it's plays like these that you like. Hits a corner 3 on one end. That's a shot that he needs to hit. That's a shot that if he's around 40%, you feel really good. Good defensive play here by the Wizards. Coulibaly getting out and running. Run the floor big. Throws down a lob. That's a sequence that should get you excited. He's nearly at 19 points per game so far this season. Again, 4 games, so it's an incredibly small sample. 42% from 3 on nearly 5 attempts per game. And what's even more interesting about these numbers is opening night against the Boston Celtics, he scored 8 points and was 1 of 2 from the field. So in the 3 games since then, granted, 2 of them are against the horrendous Atlanta Hawks defense, which is just one of the worst you will see. 23 points, 17 points, 27 points in those 3 games since opening night. One of those games being against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are a very good defensive team and a very good team in general. So there are a lot of encouraging signs for Coulibaly so far to open up his sophomore season. Some things that you can look at and be excited about if you're a Washington Wizards fans. Of course, we're talking about his offense because that's what's going to separate him. That's what's going to turn him from a good, solid rotational player who can play some good D, knock down some threes every now and then, athletic player, finish above the rim. The offensive creation will take him from that to, this guy is, somebody that can be a cornerstone piece of your franchise moving forward. Some people have compared him to Kawhi Leonard. That's a big leap. I've seen people compare him to Jason Tatum. I think that's completely and totally unfair for him. They don't have the same body type. Tatum is a fucking tank. I don't know if I really see that. The Kawhi comparisons, I feel like anytime we give somebody Kawhi comparisons, they fail and flop hard, and it's not their fault. I'm looking at you, Patrick Williams. I'm sorry, but it's true. But defense has been his calling card so far throughout his career, and it will continue to be his calling card because he is a smooth athlete. He moves incredibly well. He moves his feet incredibly well. Again, he is so lengthy, 7'2" wingspan, and he makes things happen defensively. Nice recovery here, getting over this screen and blocking this Trae Young shot. And again, this is where this size and this length comes into play. I mean, he starts from the free throw line there and blocks that shot. That's impressive stuff. Nice work here on Donovan Mitchell, not even letting Mobley set this screen. Look at him move his feet, force a tough floater right there in traffic. That's a good defensive possession right there. Jason Tatum, one of the stronger players in the league, one of the toughest covers in the league. Look at him move his feet and stay with him that entire drive, altering that shot at the rim. That is really impressive defense, man. Again, impressive defense here on Tatum. Fighting over this Cornette screen, playing up on Tatum so Cornette can't even set the screen, and then forcing JT into this stuff. Step back 3, which you live with. This Boston Celtics offense, you live with Tatum shooting a shot like that. Again, just move your feet. Make this as difficult as a shot as possible. With how good this Celtics offense is, if Tatum's shooting a step back free throw line jumper, then so be it. Great individual defense right here by Bilal Coulibaly, and terrible individual offense by Trae Young. 6 seconds left. We're going for a little step in. Floating 3 for the win. I mean, you got to kind of appreciate when guys are like, I'm going for the fucking 3 to win the game. I don't care if it's the worst look in human history. I'm going for it. And of course, with that 7'2" wingspan, he is going to be a good defensive playmaker in this league. Get his hands in passing lanes, alter passing angles, dig in on help on drives and poke the ball free. We've seen that at times. He's already generating so many steals so far this season. And an interesting little defensive tidbit that I saw on Twitter was last year he was second in the NBA in distance traveled defensively. So he's an active defender, good help defender, although sometimes I will say, and this is just part of being a young player and just growing up and relying on your athleticism so much and your freakish length, is sometimes he can help a little bit too much, get out of position, and I think part of that is, he uses his length to recover, and he just feels like I can gamble for a steal here, or, I can help a little bit here and still recover. And in the NBA, the margin for error is so slim that you can't really get away with that, and that's stuff that he's still working on and learning. But I'm putting a decent amount of stock in Bilal Coulibaly. I mean, is he going to be somebody who is going to develop into Kawhi Leonard? I would never put that on a player. You guys know how I feel about Kawhi. At Kawhi's peak, I think he's one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, and one of the biggest what-ifs we've seen in quite some time. So I would not say that. As a 3-and-D wing who can do some stuff for himself offensively, yeah, I'm definitely buying some stock. And that's somebody that you can build around. That's somebody who is a key piece for a team that's not only just competing, but competing at a very, very high level, which the Wizards, they're very far away from that. So a season like this for Coulibaly is actually going to be, really, really important. A season where you get a lot of on-ball reps. A season where, you can fail, you can miss some shots, you can miss some drives at the rim, you can miss some pull-up jumpers. It is what you can turn the ball over, right? Getting downhill and not really knowing what you're doing just yet. That's completely and totally fine. And he's going to get plenty of those opportunities this year, and I think it'll be really good for his development. So the Wizards will be terrible. I know that they're 2-2 right now. They're going to be a really bad basketball team. I would have to venture to guess they'll probably be the worst team in the league record-wise by the end of the season. But there's stuff to look forward to, which I don't know I could have said about halfway through last season. Let me know what you guys think. Like the video, comment, subscribe.